I'm not sure I like this filter. I don't know. It doesn't look bad. I look like a Barbie though. Anyways, so I've talked about this before about how I have like a whole system of trees outside where I live, and like I watch them, and when they start hurting one tree, it starts affecting all the trees further down. And as they've left them alone, they've pretty much been green this whole time. I mean, there's still a couple of ones that isn't as green as they used to be, but it looks like they're recovering. And one day, like, I don't know if like a storm blew it down. Well, I'm 99.9% sure a human cut it, but somebody cut like some pieces off of the tree. And I'm just looking at it, and like, I just get this, you know, this message that sometimes, like, when I was looking at it, I was like, when I move and I have like trees, I'm gonna ask them for permission to like prune them before I, do that. And then like the message that came after I thought that was like the problem with like when humans go to like cut parts off of a tree is that they don't take note of whether or not the parts are sturdy and whether they can like hold up. Whereas when a storm takes part of a tree, those were the weaker parts that it cuts off. And when humans interact, they're not looking for the weaker parts, they're just cutting off whatever's in their way. And I was just like, that's fucking interesting. And it made me think about like, the storms. And sometimes, like, in life, those storms are required. That, like, the bad shit that goes on in life is often required. But it made me think about how, the storms are often required because a lot of the times we're we don't think about like what parts of the journey are sturdy and what's not, because a lot of times as a human you can get really attached to things that are not, that they won't uphold during a storm. And so the storms are required to come through and prove that, these branches were not going to stay up. So you needed to get rid of these ones so that for future it's like, okay, well, maybe I can shed that, before it gets to the point where I actually have to go through a whole motherfucking storm first. And then on the other side of that, sometimes you start cutting off stuff and stop doing stuff that's actually pretty stable as it is. And then it's just like, well, now you're starting from scratch where you didn't necessarily have to because you're being overly critical and overthinking stuff. But yeah, that was an interesting tree message that I just picked up one of the times that I was like watching the trees and stuff. And I thought it was fucking interesting. So yeah, if you can, like, ask them permission before you start cutting away at them. Because, they got feelings too.